Hello everybody, whoops, I'm way too zoomed in. Hello everybody and welcome to week 16 of Every Book All at Once. Every Book All at Once is a series in which I read every book on my TBR all at once until I'm down to 0. So we have 7 contenders left, 2 weeks left to get this done, and about 1,800 pages left on the whole project. So 900 pages per week. I've just managed it in week 15, so it should be doable, but I have less and less time as we get closer to the end of the year, though next week I should have more time. But so this week is gonna be like a little bit of a tricky one, like in an hour I need to be at my sister's for my nephew's birthday party, for example, and then on Thursday, as always, I have Spanish class. Friday I'm going to a light festival at the zoo. Saturday I'm going on a visit for a friend, and so yeah, there's a lot planned into this week, which means it's more of a tight fit. So let's see if it's feasible or not. In any case, we need to go ahead and find our goals for this week. I don't think I mentioned it in last week's video at the end, but I've decided to let go of the concept of the benchmark. I think the benchmark was useful in the previous sections of these vlogs before my holidays, because it was just a way to make sure that I was steadily making progress in all of them. Whereas at this point in time, I have so little weeks left in the project that, it doesn't really make sense to artificially be like, yeah, I have to get to 34% with these books when I'm just like in the final stretch of them. So no benchmark, no punishment, because I managed to succeed in the goals last week. And yeah, let's just go for a reading goal. I have normally managed to remove the ones that I already had, and let me actually look here. I think I'm also going to remove getting 2 books to 50%, which also just sounds like one that isn't really interesting considering where we are in this project at this point in time. So, and this one, yeah, I'll leave that in, we'll see. So what do we get? That's typical, because that's the one that I was just debating removing. So this is to finish the books that were on my TBR before I started Every Book All at Once, and I'm not entirely sure that I have any. If I have, it's these 2. It's Herald and Demon, which are already books that I'm actually planning to focus on this week, though I was actually thinking maybe I'll split them across the 2 weeks. You know what, I'll respin, because I just don't think that this is a very interesting goal at this point in time. This is a fun one. Cat chooses priority. Okay, fine. So I'll have to have my cat decide on some books for me, which is problematic because my cat at this point in time is no longer motivated by dry foods. So I have to find stuff that she will be interested in trying, but in any case, good goal. So it means that I have to get her to choose the ones that I want, because I want Violet Stings, There Are Rivers in the Sky, Herald, and Mistress of Lies to be my priorities for this week. But I will have her decide. She's here right now. Yes, you get to play a part later. Right, and then moving on to the activity goal. So what is in there? All of that is still okay, right? Yeah, I think so. So let's spin. Can already get, okay. Can I leave it for next week though? You know what? I am making that executive decision. This candle making role is going into next week. I'm sorry, guys. A coffee run, so it's like a much better plan. So somewhere this week I need to go out for coffee, which sounds amazing because then I can go for like a festive little coffee. So yes, I'm okay with that one. And I've also realized that I accidentally removed the crochet one from here probably a few weeks ago, so my apologies, Natalie, that was not my intention. So we're going for a coffee run somewhere this week, and then we are going on candle making we're doing next week. Which I'm very happy that that also came up, because I wanted to give candles as a Christmas gift last year, but I just didn't make the time for it. And so I did want to do it again this week, and so I have to kind of do it then either on Monday if I'm going to do it next week instead of this week, or yeah, of course I can still try to fit it into this weekend if need be, and still have it be my goal for this week. But you know, I don't want the pressure of having to do it this week, and you know, like I can always give them for New Year's as well, and just like take a little bit more of my time with it, because it's something that I've never done, and so I need to figure out how to do it. But yeah, with that having been said, there are some changes towards last week's plan. So what is staying? I am keeping you guys updated at all times throughout the week over on Discord, as a way to keep myself accountable, and also have you guys like there to cheer me on and to kind of push me through in times in which it's a little bit more difficult. But I'm also going to be waking up earlier in order to get a few pages in before work, because all of my evenings for the most part are so busy this week. So I this morning got up, read 9 pages of Mistress of Lies. That's not a huge progress, but it is a few pages off of my 130 daily pages that I've already finished at that point in time. And then for my commute last week, the majority of my commute, or not really, but like 3 out of 5, so the majority of my commute was spent listening to the Lonely Hearts Slido Club, which I haven't finished yet, but it's going on a little bit of a break at this point in time. And I have downloaded Violet Stings by Chloe Gong as my audiobook. Now, this is up for reevaluation, because this morning I had no issues with like paying attention, following along while listening to it. So the first chapter was working very fine. Second chapter, it's so on the return journey, I had a little bit more problems with it, and so I restarted it when I got home. And so if that is going to be the case for all of my, like if I feel myself drifting off more while listening to it, then I'm gonna stop that, because that is not the goal. But this way I can also get more pages in through the commute that I did last week, so hopefully get a decent chunk of my daily goal, or like a portion of my daily goal at least, already done before the evening starts, rather than last week when at least for the first 3 days of the week I had to do like the full page count still when I got home. So yeah, that's the changes. Let's see whether they have any impacts. Okay, Faith gets to decide between these 2 books, because they are 2 books by the same author, and so they kind of fill the same space. All right, so let's see. I need to get this cat in here somewhere. Yes, idiot. Did you find it? Yes, you smell it? Yes, you idiot. Aha, interesting. Did you just walk over the other one? Yes, you did. You walked over the other one. So, you see it here? You barely see it. So, good job, because Faith, that is the book that I wanted to read. So, good job. Good job. Just see a black blurry thing. Yeah, find the other one. There. Yeah, no, not my finger. You idiot. There. Yes. Good job. All right, time to choose a second pairing. So my hope is for There Are Rivers in the Sky. I would not mind Disobedient, but I do think that Disobedient is probably it's shorter, so I have less progress with it. So thank you, Faith, for choosing it. I know I maybe sabotage things by having, but she didn't eat it all. But she also left something on the Disobedient book. Are you not hungry? In this case, the first counts, right? She first fully finished she first started with There Are Rivers in the Sky. So we'll count that, right? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna change these books around actually, because otherwise it's always the left book. So I've turned them around. You still see a little bit of the previous street over there. And Fate is currently not even here. So I would like Mistress of Lies to win. Fate has zero interest in it. Hello. Come. Yes. Okay. And now I would love for you to look for a treat. Yes. No, eat it, eat it. Why are you not hungry? Come on, eat your treat. Yeah, eat it. That's fine, just eat it. Eat it. I think she is no longer interested in eating her snacks, but I think we can conclude that she went for the Mistress of Lies. She did not have an interest in the gods below. And then the final concern is, so I have 7 books left on the TBR, so I've been basically pairing off 2 by 2, but I would love to focus on 4 books this week, which means the final book, which I wanted to be Violet's Things, does not have anything to pair off against unless I repeat one of them. So what do you guys think? Should I pair it off against something else? Or should I just take that as a win? Or should I be like, I can only, like, I need to proceed further with, or and I need to have read more pages in all of them than I will have read in the Vilest Things, but like Harold only has like 100 and whatever pages left in it. So I just really want to also focus on Vilest Things. So, because that'll be my commute book, but it will just be my commute book, I guess. So maybe we can indeed just leave it with these 3 priorities. We'll see what else we do throughout the week. I'll definitely be listening to Vilest Things, but if it's just going to be commute book from now on, then it might just automatically not be like the one I get the furthest along. Alright, guys, not a great start at all to my week because I read 67 pages, I want to say, today, which means that I am 63 pages behind on the goal day 1. The one positive I see about this is that it immediately will put me into like high gear for the next 2 evenings. So tomorrow evening and Wednesday evening, I don't have any plans. It's the only nights this week, with the exception of Sunday, in which I don't have anything scheduled yet. So that should mean that I can fully dedicate those evenings to reading. And because of the fact that I'm running quite a lot behind already at this point in time, like I'm running double the amount of behind tonight after compared to last Monday evening. So it should hopefully mean that tomorrow evening and the day after I'm like dedicated to kind of make sure that we're doing better this week than last week. My main goal, I guess, would be to, like, my main hope and objective, what I'm aiming for is to go into Thursday without a backlog. Because then Thursday and Friday are going to create some backlog to go into the weekends. But I have yet to decide what to do about like a 4th book, because like definitely tonight my main priority has been Violet's Things, mainly just because like it isn't even that I just listen to it so much throughout the evening. It's just that I listen to it on my commute. I listen to it on the way to my sister's house and back, and then in both of those times I listened to like the rest of the chapter until the chapter was done. But it isn't even like I dedicated so much time to it. It's just that it's in a week in which I have a lot of things to do. The commuting can already like overshoot the rest of the reading. So yeah, we'll have to see. It's the Vilest Thing is gonna be a danger if I don't get it as chosen by fate. So I'm gonna give it 1 I'm gonna give Fate one last choice tomorrow. I'm gonna let her have a showdown between Violet Stings and some other book on the TBR. I'm guessing I'm gonna do it with Demon because that's the shortest one. So if Demon gets chosen, then at least I can potentially still, like put it higher on the priority this week. And so yeah. Maybe we can say like if I don't finish Violet Stings this week, but I finish all the other priority books, then that clearly means that I've placed a higher priority on the other books, right? That of course means that I now have to finish those books, but that was the goal to begin with, so why not? We've no place to go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Alright, it is time, moment of truth. So I am going to be putting 2 pieces of candies on there. Yes, Fate, on there. It is very important that you choose vilest things, okay? Yeah, but maybe let's try and how can I do this without you like immediately jumping on? Because she knows that I have the treats in my hand. She might have figured out that this whole book game thingy is something that I'm playing. Hello, can you just go over there for a second? Okay, that doesn't sound. I'm just gonna do it like this for a second because that was unfair. Okay. And now she won't go back. Come on, Fate. Come on. Yeah, that's the wrapper, I know. But the wrapper isn't all that interesting. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Go for the candies. The candies. Yeah. Candies are over there. Yeah, go. Come on. I think I need to do like this. Okay. To indicate that they are there. No, no, no. Fine. Hey guys, I don't remember when I last updated you guys, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But I'm pretty sure probably only updated you guys on like Monday, maybe Tuesday. But in any case, so the goal had been to make sure that I wasn't too far behind at the end of Wednesday because on Thursday, so tonight, I had Spanish class and physical therapy, so my entire evening would be busy. But I've actually just like decided not to go to Spanish class tonight. So I do have more time tonight, but it will say that it's already like almost 9 o'clock and I still haven't read except for like the audiobook that I listened to on the way to physical therapy and back and while cooking. So I have already read 50 pages out of the 130 for today. And you'll be pleased to know that I'm not too far behind neither, because I did manage to make sure that the backlog was only like 25 pages or something like that, I think, going into today. So if I can do a little bit more reading today, that can definitely like make sure that the damage isn't too bad. I don't necessarily feel like I have to reach the daily goal today because I normally wasn't going to reach it in any case. And, like part of my decision to not go to Spanish class tonight was not necessarily for this reading project, but more like to give myself just a little bit of a more breathing room for this week. And so giving me the time to kind of watch a few videos and stuff like that, I'm also very happy with that. And so I'm happy with the choices that I made this evening as well, even if they didn't lead to much like reading necessarily. But so I am struggling when it comes to my goal of, the vilest things not becoming my priority. So vilest things is supposed to not be the priority, but it is definitely a book that I've been listening to a lot throughout this week so far. So I think as long as I can finish the 4 books that fate has chosen for me as priorities, then it doesn't matter how much progress I might make in the vilest things. If I end up with one of them not being finished, then I guess we can debate the outcome. But and it would be like miraculous for me to finish those 4 books, let me tell you guys, because I mean that would definitely make next week very doable, but it would be quite miraculous for me to actually manage to do that. But in any case, I am some 80 pages away or so from finishing Harold, so I've decided that I'm gonna be reading a few more chapters of Harold right now, and then, maybe I can finish it off tomorrow, because my 4th book is Demon by Rob J. Hayes as well. So I kind of want to finish Harold before switching back into Demon. And so so it will probably be best for me to try and finish this book off in these 2 days, so that I have the weekend to fully dedicate to Demon. But if need be, like Demon is much lower in page count. I mean, I have the same amount of pages now, more or less, to go in both of them actually. But so Demon is also under 100 pages, so I can definitely also do it in just one day if need be. So if I finish Harold on Saturday at the very latest, at least I still have Sunday to dedicate to Demon. I have under 200 pages to go in Mistress of Lies since yesterday, and probably I'll do a little bit more of reading in Mistress of Lies today as well, because I definitely feel like Mistress of Lies is one in which the page count is moving along pretty quickly. I'm really enjoying that one as well. I'm really enjoying like the will they won't they vibes about the attraction between all the characters, not necessarily all that drawn into the plot all that much. So we'll have to see whether that changes. But I am like halfway through it now, and I feel like there's much more emphasis on the vibes in any case than on the plots, but that might just be me, because that's what I'm enjoying the most about it. But that one is definitely still doable as well for this week. The problem might be the Elif Shafak one, because I have over 200 pages to go in that one. I think I have about 240 pages to go in that one. But it's definitely still also doable. It's just like that one is like it'll require a little bit more of a push, in the sense that it'll be like I don't know what I'm trying to say with that. I'm going through that one a little bit slower, and because it also has multiple perspectives, and I'm not always like as invested with all of them. It sometimes can be like I can sometimes feel like, okay, I'm ready to put this book down for a bit, so that might work in its to its detriments. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. Ja, we moeten toch wel de draken trekken. Zo.
Boven staat ze, maar dat was wel een dier.
Hello, it is Saturday morning. I've just gotten off sprints, and yesterday I finished a book. So yesterday I finished Herald by Rob J. Hayes. So my experience with this book has been pretty interesting, or just with this entire series. So for those of you who don't know, Herald is part of three series that Rob J. Hayes is writing simultaneously. So he's writing the first books in all of them at the same time, and then he'll write the second and then the third. And so Herald is the sort of like most modern in terms of the timeline, the chronological timeline, but it's also the one that you're supposed to read first. It's also the one that is the full-length book, and the others are novellas. I, of course, defied expectations, read all of them at the same time, or like busy in all of them at the same time. I finished the middle series, like the first book in the middle series first, and now I've just finished Herald. And having read the middle book in the series definitely impacted, I assume, my reading of Herald, because it definitely made me more sort of like skeptical about both the version of history that was documented or like that was being indoctrinated as the version of history that, like the opposite party is trying to portray. And so it made me more of sort of like, you cannot trust anybody. Nobody is to be trusted. And like, I don't know what the real truth is, but I know that it isn't as simple as either party is trying to make it seem like. So I went through it with a lot more skepticism about both parties, both sides of the conflict. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ending as well, because to some extent I wasn't entirely sure whether the ending was going to surprise me, or I guess like the ending, I always knew that the ending was going to kind of have to prove whether my sort of like paranoia had been true or not. And so it was an interesting ending. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna not gonna spoil anything about it, but I enjoyed that ending. I thought that that was very well crafted. But I will say that with Harold, I definitely feel like the book was too long for my enjoyment. I didn't necessarily get all that invested in the actual events of the story or in the journey taking place within the story. I was much more interested in that sort of like, who can we trust, who's telling the truth side of things, which is then mostly ingrained with the whole thought process of what the series is, and like seeing chronology of three different timelines and three different ways of interpreting past events. Seeing that all come together, that was what mainly interested me, and that's what mainly interested me from the get-go about this concept to begin with. But I feel like not as a consequence, but I feel like I didn't have the type of investment in the actual story being told within this third book to warrant such a long page count. And so I'm hoping that that will kind of change with the second book. I was kind of debating whether I was gonna get the second books, but I do feel like with that ending, I'm on board again. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. But so I definitely think it is an interesting series. It is an interesting experiment. It is interesting to go through these series at the same time and see kind of how events, or the way that events are talked about, contradict themselves. And that is the most interesting thing about it for me. But so today I'm now getting ready to go and visit a friend. I am going to try and still jump into the city center and get some of those final gifts that I need. I'll probably still have to go back again on Monday as well, unless I'm like really fortunate and really find gifts easily. But I think I'll probably have to go back on Monday for some more final gifts. But I want to take advantage of the fact that stores are open at this point in time, and that this is one of like the moments that I still have left to go, in order to try and ensure that, for example, there's one gift that's like a little bit outside of the city center. It's like on the other side of the city center than where I live from. And so I'm like not entirely sure about their opening hours and stuff like that. I know that they're open now, so I'm just gonna get the one thing I want from there now already to be sure that I have it. And then I'll go to one of the bookstores already to kind of try and find a gift for my mom there already. And then that way, even if I don't yet find it, at least I will have done some of the prep already, and then I know like that's like I'll have to go to another bookstore later then, but at least then like I won't have to do all of the bookstores on like the Monday like frantically trying to look for the gifts last minute. So yeah, and that's just gonna be the update for now. Have mainly made my way through Mistress of Lies today, so I've made it through 95 pages of Mistress of Lies. Really enjoying that one. Give an update about that one later. And then after I come back from my friends, I think the rest of the day I'm gonna be focusing on There Are Rivers in the Sky, because I still have 240 pages to get through with that one. So it's looking more and more less and less likely that I'm gonna finish that one this weekend. But I am not yet despairing. So if we can really push through tonight and get a huge chunk of that one done. So my aim is going to be at least 80 pages. If I can get that done tonight, there is still hope for tomorrow.
One who is an assassin, he was sold to a pirate.
Hey everybody, and that it is time to wrap up this video because I have made it to the new week. It is Monday. I did manage to get some of that card, because that card is like back to the status quo, like back where we were at the beginning of the month, but of the week. But we have gotten rid of some books on there. So I already gave you an update for the biggest one on there. So I already gave you an update for Harold. So this card already looks so much more achievable once you take away this giant book off of there. So already updated you guys on that one. Then I did still finish two more, which I conveniently placed over here. So first of all, I finished Mistress of Lies by K.M. Emright. So this is the August Illumicrate book, I want to say, and it's one that I got along with very well, which was very much due, because I am definitely like reevaluating my Illumicrate subscription, because I didn't use it a ton this year, and quite a few of them I didn't really enjoy all that much. So yeah, we'll have to see, like I have to make my picks a little bit more strictly in 2025, and then even then I'll have to reevaluate, like, of the ones that I get, how much value do I actually see in the boxes that I get from them. But so Mistress of Lies is a basically sort of like vampire book. It is set in a society in which blood workers are basically the one who rule, and they can basically use magic from blood, and basically all blood workers are kind of like the nobility within this world. And so in this one we are following Shan, who is a blood worker, who's basically just like a collector of secrets, and she has just like orchestrated the assassination or something of her father, and her family is kind of, its reputation is in ruins, its finances are in ruins, and she wants to see that changed. And so she, through her network, kind of manages to track down a sort of like heritage that had gone missing, which is the Aberforth heritage. Basically, the Aberforths are the only remaining relations to what is referred to as the Eternal King, so the ruler of this land, and they have this sort of special power that kind of controls people through their words. And so she tracks down this guy and kind of pulls him into the attention and into the sphere of the king, into the influence of the king, and is trying to rise to, you know, like a higher position as a consequence of that. However, feelings also ensue between the two of them, but also with the sort of like royal blood worker, who is a guy who has hurt her in the past and is trying to make his way back into her life. So this is very much a sort of like love triangle, and a pure love triangle, so not just like where two parties are vying for the attention of one, but like actual love triangle, all of them are interested in all of them. And so this is actually very heavy on the romance, which doesn't mean that there isn't a plot there and that the plot isn't like worthwhile on its own, but it's definitely like, if you are not interested in the romance aspect to this, then I don't think that this one will work for you, because then, you know, like there's just too much time spent on that, and I was mainly interested in the romance aspect of this one, and I just really ate it up. So I'm always saying that I don't like my romance and my fantasy, but from time to time a book that like is mainly vibing on the romance can really work for me, as long as I care about the romance. So this is why Daughter of the Moon Goddess really works for me. I love that romance in there so much, and that book is really about the romance mainly. It's not to say that there's nothing more to the plot, but like so much of the time is spent on that romance, and if you don't care about the romance, then like why are you reading it? And this is a similar business. But I did think that this was going to be a standalone, and it turns out that it's part of a duology, so that did hinder my enjoyment of it a little bit towards the end, because I just wasn't really enjoying the direction it was taking towards the end. But I was also just like thinking that we were rounding off towards like the final ending, and then it was like, oh, okay, like this cannot be the final ending, so there must be another book that's coming in, and like at the last page it's suddenly the story continues in, and I was like, okay. So yeah, I wasn't enjoying those final 30 pages, but it was probably also due to the fact that I was just like expecting, that I was just thinking that this was like the permanent ending that we were working towards, and I was like, wait, what? Why is it all going to hell in the final 30 pages? But it was because we're standing up for a second book. I don't necessarily think I needed a second book. Like, this book could have just ended differently and I would have enjoyed it just being a standalone, but hey, I'll reserve my judgments for when I've read the second book. And then the final thing that I still finished yesterday is Demon by Rob J. Hayes. So I finished the entire first 3 books in the 3 trilogies that will make up the God Eater saga. This is the oldest one in the timeline. So the God Eater saga, as I probably will have mentioned when I talked about Herald, consists of 3 trilogies that will take place in different parts of the world. This is the oldest timeline. And so whereas the other 2 books kind of have to deal with, like, to some extent there's a theme there of the legacy of what has happened in the past, and kind of like as a reader trying to figure out like how these events have passed down into history. This is of course the oldest one, and so it has no sort of like, this is how it's what has happened in the past type of moments in it. So it's like kind of a blank slate to that extent. I did really enjoy this. This does have really gruesome scenes in it. It is very much a brutal world, because at this point in time in the world, so humans are basically having to deal with demon invasions. And so at the beginning of the book, our protagonist Diane is confronted with the loss of both of her parents when a demon tribe kind of invades her town and kills both her father and her mother. Not entirely sure anymore whether her father was actually killed by the demons or by some of the townsfolk who basically kind of came for him, as they considered him to be sort of like in league with the demons somehow. But so she has to deal with the loss of both of her parents, and then she's also in prisons by these demons who basically run a sort of like work camp in which the humans are like heavily beaten down, brutalized, killed, eaten if they don't comply and don't just like work their asses off in order to help the demons create weapons to fight their enemies. So this is the sort of like establishing point of the series. It is the last one that you're supposed to read. And that all has to do with kind of the way in which history has gone down into like, you know, like the records. And so your starting establishing point is kind of the most recent in the timeline, because there you get acquainted with how people are living now and their views on past events and the way in which they've been told to think about past events. And then you go further back in time to kind of see those moments, and the views on it you've established so far kind of gets a little bit skewed because of the in-time vision that you're presented with. So I didn't end up finishing There Are Rivers in the Sky. I have 170 pages to go in it. I did not manage to do that throughout the weekend, and I also haven't finished Violet Stings, which fate did not choose. So in the end, I'm choosing to see this as a win. I did finish 3 out of the 4 books that fate told me to prioritize. I did read 100 or so pages in There Are Rivers in the Sky, more than 100 pages I think in There Are Rivers in the Sky, made decent progress in that, and yes, I made progress in a book that I was not supposed to make progress in, but altogether I did finish 3 out of the 4, so 75% of what she wanted me to prioritize, and let's add a few percentages to that because of the fact that I did read in the 4th one as well. So I'm gonna count that as a win. As we will see from another clip, I did also do the activity goal. I mean, it was a really easy one, but if it weren't for the fact that it had come up, I wouldn't have bothered to go out for coffee. I would have just made my own coffee, and the coffee that I went for is definitely superior, so thanks to the wheel for that. Yeah. And then in terms of the amount of pages, I did read the same amount as last week. So I read 916 pages, which means that I have 881 pages left for the final week of Every Book All at Once, meaning I think we're gonna do it, guys. I think we're gonna do it and have at least 2 days off to read whatever I want or to read nothing at all. So with that, I'm gonna end this particular video and nothing remains but for me to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, because I am going to be pulling this one forward hopefully so that it comes out today on Monday instead of Tuesday, but if not, it's actually gonna come out on Christmas Eve. But in any case, I wish you guys a Merry Christmas, and for those of you who celebrate, of course, and you know, see you guys on Boxing Day, I guess. Bye!